This is case number 352. Judging Klop versus the club World Cup against other people. Yeah, Judging Club is the news again, and this time is talking about, of course, how packed the football calendar is and how players don't really get a time to even rest for the upcoming season. Now, Jurgen Klopp said, and I quote, "The Club World Cup is the worst idea ever implemented in football. People who have never had anything to do with their day-to-day business are coming up with ideas. Perhaps not everyone has recognized the real problem yet, that next season players will suffer injuries they've never had before. If not this season, then it will happen at the World Cup or afterward." This is what Jurgen Klopp said about the Club World Cup competition. Now, he went on further to say that an NBA player earns a lot of money and has 4 months of rest per year. Virgil van Dijk didn't even have that in his entire career. Tournaments such as the Club World Cup cannot take place at the expense of the players. I don't wish it on anyone. Further from Jurgen Klopp. Now, no, this also the fact that people are justifying that players and their agents are demanding more salaries or wages, and therefore, where can we get all these monies from if you are not organizing more competitions to generate more revenue to pay these players? And this is where Jurgen Klopp came to justify or counter this with the fact that an NBA player do earn much more than what a football player, but they do have months of rest even before their season begins. Yeah, but let's see um what do you call it? Cover Sehoki said to Jurgen Klopp. He said, "If you don't like the Club World Cup, go and play paddle or go for a swim." That is a little advice he has for Jurgen Klopp. That is interesting to know. Now, another backlash from the Bayern CEO, probably known as Karl Heinz, said that on players complaining about the packed football calendar, "I get why they are frustrated, but players and their agents have played a part in this. By constantly demanding higher wages, they have pushed clubs to chase bigger revenues. And where does that money come from? More matches, of course. That is obvious. That's why I believe it's time for everyone involved to come together and have a calm, rational conversation about how we can bring the game and also the business behind it back to more balanced and sensible times." This is what the Bayern CEO said about players complaining about the pack schedule and also this enormous competition that they are playing in. And I think to an extent, I do agree with him because players are demanding huge and huge salaries, even signing bonuses, etc. And clubs these days do not have the financial capability to sort out all these things. They have to resort to more competitions, changing big competition, big money. In fact, if you know the amount of money teams are earning from this club World Cup is crazy. It tells you why most of these clubs competing in this competition want to go further because the further you go, the more money you make. Enzo Maresca. If you guys know, the Chelsea match was interrupted. In fact, it happens to be the seventh match that is interrupted or delayed during this Club World Cup in the USA. He said, "This is not football. This is the seventh or eighth time they suspended the game here. It's a complete joke. I understand the security reasons, but if you have to suspend 7 or 8 games, then this is probably not the right place to host the competition." In fact, the whole idea of hosting this Club World Cup in the USA is something that is really questionable, due to the weather condition, even due to the fan base itself. Now, initially or prior to this competition, FIFA had to reduce ticket prices or slash it to the extent that like $40, $10, and the stadium still don't get full. You know, if this competition was held in Europe or even maybe somewhere in South America, I think they would have a better um, conditions playing and also maybe better fan base to really back this. But in America, the weather conditions and even the fan base, people don't even go to the stadiums. And it's all due to the fact that most of these big European clubs are not playing in the World Club Work. Of course, you can talk about teams like Liverpool, Manchester United, Barcelona, etc. No, I understand the how do you call it, the seeding to this Club World Cup, and it's justified. But then you don't expect to have much crowd where you don't have all these big teams playing in the Club World Cup. But that being said, so I want to know your opinion about the Club World Cup. And then subscribe to my channel and like this video if you haven't subscribed yet. Share this video and leave a comment in the comment section. and see you guys in the next video.